Right guys, hi, Andy Work here. It's a reasonably comfortable Saturday night, and what do you do on Saturday night? You nerf. So, here we go. The POX ECLIPSE build. This is the Redback. Now, this is the stage where it's undercoated. I've put the salt on, I've put the silver on, and I've clay covered it. Now, I've gently put it back together without trying to knock off too much of the clay. Put on the muzzle because I'm not worried if that gets spray on it. And what I'm going to do is spray the top coat, which is, as the name suggests, a Redback. It's going to be red on the back and going to have it white down the sides and a red pistol grip and red markings on the butt. But what I'm going to do is something, I don't know if I've seen it somewhere or I just thought it up in a fit of genius, I don't know, is I've got two different colour reds. We've got cherry red here and we've got a scarlet here. And to my eye the cherry red is much more solid and deep. The scarlet looks a little bit faded, so I'm going to use that to my advantage, and I'm going to spray from the side and spray the cherry on the side, on both sides, then tip it up and spray the scarlet down the back. So, and you know, try to blend them in. That way the scarlet will be on top where it would fade more sun effect, and it might just add a bit more realism to it. This is nothing more than an experiment, but I'm going to give it a go. So I'll go get this over to the paint desk, get my mask on, do some spraying, and I'll get back to you. Right guys, I'm set up here at the table. I've got my spray cans, I've shaken them up. Now I've decided, had to work out where I'm going to put this demarcation. Top's going to be red, so it's going to follow this line here, straight down along the top of that line there. And at the back, I'll probably get it to jink up to this line, miss that completely, that'll be red. And this whole area of the butt will be red, and the pistol grip will be red. So on with the mask, and on with some amazingness. Now I've got very little cherry red, so I'm going to do the scarlet first, right along the spine. Right guys, now as you can see, a lot of red on there, on the blaster. And I'm just planning out the lettering. I've got Redback, and I've got to space it. And roughly the space I've got to cover is about, taking the bevels off, about 220. I've got 7 letters, so if we drop 10 off that, we've got 110, 7, 30 mil each. 30 millimeter spacing each. Now if I go, I can't do it there, so if I do start there, so I go red, R, E, D, B, I miss that area, A, C, K. So I've just got to avoid this little detail piece here. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to have the red, the solid red coming down to about somewhere around here. I'm not quite sure, maybe the bottom of that line. Straight along there, then I'll do something up here. And what I want is for the solid line to be like that, and the letters to be just touching at the top, in a real sort of retro look. The funny thing is, even though this is supposed to be from a future, if I use a future font, a future style lettering, it won't work. So the actual font I'm thinking about is called Rocketeer. I think they've even used it on the advertising for the movie of the same name. It's a very 60s retro style font, and that's what I want it to look like. So I'll have to put some more paint along there, just a little bit further down, checking both sides. Yeah, that side's not too bad, but that side's a bit rough. So it'll be just above that, yeah. Okay, another flat battery to deal with. Now, I've just gone and done some stencils. I don't think if you can see them there, and oh great, that's cut through the seat. Brilliant. Okay, so what I've got is Redback twice to go on the side, and a little silhouette of the spider, which I'll, after I've put the stencil on and masked everything and painted it white, even before that, after I put the stencil on and masked everything, then I can go sprit black, put the spider on and paint the whole thing white. But let's get the stencil on. Now, I've worked out that I've got to put a letter roughly every 30 millimeters. So let's start with the now. The font I was after was called, I thought was called Rocketeer, but it isn't the actual one I wanted, and I couldn't actually find the one I remembered. I couldn't remember its name, so I downloaded one that was close, and then did a little bit of editing to it. There's some tweezers, and I added these little flecks to the back of it. So what I want to do, without getting in the way of the camera, is put it about there. So that's just going to go up that. I'm going to mask along the top of that line so the letters will actually be blurring into the red, which is just the sort of look I want. What I'm going to do is just lay out the letters really lightly so they don't stick in. And then I'll position them and press them down. I've got the R stuck down, so it's not going to go anywhere. Spacing right and just do some hand painting later. That's not bad. Okay. Right, I've just put the Redback logo on the other side, and here's a bit on the slide. And what I'm going to do is put the other one on this side, starting at the K, at the reverse, so I can match it up on my way along. Okay, Redback. So, we have that done. Now what I'll do is now mask off my red, and I'll put a spray of black there, put my little Black Widow silhouette, then the whole thing gets painted white. But the red masking is going to take a while, so I'll get back to you. Right guys, here I've got my Redback masked up, ready to go with the white, but before I do that, I've got my satin black here in my hand with the camera, so that's real fun. And I'm just going to cover this area with some satin blacks so I can, when it's dry, put on the Redback sticker, and when I paint it white I'll have a silhouette of the spider, so I've got less painting to do. So here we go. There we go. That's all I need to do. Now let that dry, and then I'll paint all the rest of the bits white I need to paint white, take off the masking, and we're, you know, almost there. Alright guys, so here we are. This black's dried. I'm going to chuck this spider, what do you call it, stencil on. So just dig it off, yeah, so I've lost one of the legs, but that's easy, I can just easy enough cut another one. Okay, so there's my little spider, pretty cute. Fits there perfectly, could even be a bit bigger. But never mind. Now what's happened in the cutting, I've actually lost a leg which comes out here, but I'm just going to cut another one, and I'm just going to use the actual shape of the leg as a guide, obviously. There it is. Comes out roughly at that angle, and there's my spider. So now I can spray all this white, and then when that's finished, I've actually got the clip art that this spider came from. You can pull off the stencil and just paint the details like the red mark on the back and the eyes and a bit of the shine on some of the leg parts. Okay guys, time for the fun of the unmasking. So we'll just start at the top here. looking good so far. Looks like I might be taking off some of the red paint with this tape because it's been on there a bit longer than I normally like to leave it. Doesn't look too bad. Yep. Okay, so see there's a couple of spots I missed there. I have to get back with the red. Not a great issue. Not too bad. This bit with the last minute afterthought, I just thought I'd paint it black, make it appear like some sort of internal machinery, I don't know. Once it's weathered up it'll blend in. There we go. Okay, so that's all the masking off. Oh, except for the letters. I've got to take the letters off, don't I? And of course the other letters are on the front of the slide, right here. So let's take this off. Still got a couple of screws sticking in there. Be careful about them. There's B and D lifted when I was spraying, so I might have some underspray to take care of. Yeah, a little bit on the D. Okey-dokey. Look at that! The Redback. Okay. K looks like an R, but not much we can do, so let's start cleaning this up, shall we? Where's my little brush? There we go. And when I say cleaning up, I mean knocking the clay off so the wear and tear shows. It's not too bad. Could have been a bit more on there, but we'll work it out. Just reassembling the blaster, having everything done, all the cleaning and of the clay and the weathering and rubbing the sandpaper. And I don't know if I got any of that because I seem to be having battery problems with my camera. So anyway, right, so I've opened up another one, which is just over here, just as a reference. Now I've got the magazine latch in both sides. Just bring in the plunger. Haven't done any modifications to that. And now I ordered a new U-spring and metal catch from Blastertech. They're based in Queensland over here, which is great. And what's that say? Thank you, and thank you, Penny. Yeah, nice to have somebody in Australia I can order from. Even though it's a worker catch and probably a worker spring, but they got it to me a lot quicker. So going to put this stuff in. It has to go in that way, doesn't it? Yes, that can go in. Oh yes, that is a very stiff spring up there in the catch. So what I'm going to attempt to do is put this back together without everything falling out and flying all over the place. Incapacitating passers-by, as Monty Python would say. Right. And the spring, which according to Captain Xavier, who's the authority on these things, you leave it hanging out of the back until you're ready to put your shells together. Right. Alright guys, had to turn off the camera because I was having a hell of a time getting this thing together and getting it the catch to take. It works now, so I'm quite happy about that. So to put the other bits back together, wherever they are, there we go, there's our muzzle. There we go. Now what I've done also is I've left out the jam door, simply because that little tab on it there that holds it down flat, I'm a little bit concerned that pulling it back it could catch on it and just rip it off and damage the blaster. So I've left it out. It'll make it look a bit more wasteland, if you will, anyway. So, and I'll probably put some pretty heavy sooting around the ejection chamber. So here's the magazine, all whited up. Oop, wrong way, written the wrong way. I haven't checked if the magazine catch works either. It sort of does. So let's put a few rounds through this and see how much better the new spring is, eh? No! Stupid me again. I went outside to fire some test shots and realised I forgot to put the pump on. So I'll show you what I was planning to do with that anyway. It's basically just slide it on over the end. There's probably going to be some paint and debris. Now I've come up to the points. Now at this point I'm looking at these, how far the gap, and I've decided I was going to use washers, but what I'm going to use instead is the original nut that I was going to use to hold it on. Put that one on. Now what I initially had was washers under there and a nut on top, but what I went and did and found myself some lock nuts, 5mm in this case. So I've got really no reason to worry about the whole setup coming loose. Just before I do the weathering on this, the black wash, I've got to do a couple of things, like there's some paint here that's been missed, some touch-ups need to be done. I want to take off this and paint the top of that black to match in, because this off will make it a lot easier to do the wash and everything, especially since I've still got this I have to move back and forward. So just take off those lock nuts, and it looks like I won't need the spring washers underneath. They're just a little too high. And also I've got where is it? Got my phone here when it decides to open up, and I've got that Redback spider graphic, and I'll use that as a guide to put the colours in. Now I'm not sure, I'm pretty sure the Redback has a straight red mark on its back, a straight line. It's pretty broad but it's straight. I think the one that looks a bit like an hourglass is the Black Widow. So since this is a Redback, I'm going to put a straight red line, but I have to do a white undercoat first. So let's have a look. Yes, so there is an uber line that comes just from just from there. Right guys, here we are back again. Finished the Redback, added the red stripe and some eyes and neatened things up. Now I can bring it up to the same standard as the rest of the blaster with the black wash, as you can see. No real comparison, it just looks so much better when it's dirtied down, the shine's taken off the paint. And, oh, I forgot about that. Got to do this bit underneath first. Okay. I'll pull that off. And we'll see if we can go over the spider without ruining it. There we go, good. You've got to be very careful with this and keep watching it, because you put a lot on and you just leave it, it will tend to run and pool and cause streaks, and it's not what you want. You're trying to create like just a dirty surface, just like years and years of grit and grime. See, way too much there. I'll get another tissue and dab it in there just to soak up a little bit of it. That's enough. A lot of muck around here, so the last step after this of course is black through the airbrush for smoke and soot and stuff, and that'll be around the barrel, the vents, the ejection port, these vents. And considering the angle they are, I don't want to have them going down because the stain will stain over the spider, so I'll probably have them going up that way. This is a good example here. There's a lot of dirt behind this, you know, pretend steel bar, and that's where it'll get trapped and you can't really get it out. But other places, like along the edge here, you probably get a lot more silver wear and tear, which I might have to add in. But that is about that. So what I'm going to do is use a little bit of this dirty mini thinner to do the same thing. There we go. So there we go. Now the next step is the soot and dirt, and I might as well do it now and finish it. What I've got is I went and got some more Japanese ground self-defense force brown XF72 and my NATO black. The NATO black is very good because it's a very sooty, dense black. So what happens is soot and dense black here, coming along here, vents around the ejection port, around the magazine, and around this vent. Not much down the back because there's not much happening down there. That's just the return spring. Typically your average weapon doesn't get too sooty from shooting down there, and also of course around the top of the magazine. Hey guys, just had to reposition the camera so I find it better to work upright, and here we go. There we go. So just to get an idea of how well the paint is mixed, I'm just going to paint the inside of the muzzle black. See how it comes out, and it's not looking too bad. What I'll do is reposition that light. So most of this sooting in black, it will actually be enhanced when I go over it with the brown. this so you guys can see what's happening. I'll take this that way. Heck of a lot of soot and muck around the breech. Take the opportunity to spray some of the bits I didn't paint. This is what it's all about to make it look realistic. You can't expect the name to be completely easily seen because it's going to get covered by muck. This is another place that often got a lot of gas marks and burns, and you don't want to make it look too easy, too even. So a little bit about there. This one. And that is about it for the Natto Black, because there's nowhere else you want to do it except, of course. Now, this is going to get a little bit on the ends, so we'll put it, that's directly below the chamber, injection port, and this is going to get an awful lot up around the top. Now I've got the brown. So let's reposition the camera so you can see what I'm doing. And let's go to town. And in this case, when you're doing stuff like this, when you're doing subtle weathering, less is more. So you don't want to go crazy. Just a little bit on the gas. This is where I want to put a lot on this vent, just to show it's spewing out unburnt gases or something like that. The ejection port, and because it's brown I can use it just as a mudder too, just as dirt. Just the areas that will pick up the dirt. There, very tiny bit. There you go guys, Redback finished.